Hey, good morning, everyone. It's the last day of March. It's a beautiful day here in Georgia, and I am with gubernatorial candidate Olu Brown. Olu, good morning, and thank you for coming.
Good morning, Tom. Thank you for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
Well, it's great having you, and I'm looking forward to this interview. I've been working my way through most of the statewide candidates. I don't like this word gubernatorial. I always have to focus on that word. Gubernatorial candidates are, of course, you guys are even busier, I think, than most. So you're harder to get to, but I do appreciate you setting aside a few minutes for us today. So thank you very much for that. How's things down there going?
You know, things are going well. We've been traveling the state, and most of our time has been outside of metro. So, paying attention to our small towns and our rural communities throughout
Yeah,
Georgia. I was born in a small town, and so I feel very comfortable outside of metro and talking to folks who remind me a lot of who raised me and gave me my core values around honesty and character.
right. Well, we appreciate that. Thank you so much. What I tend to like to do at the beginning is just give the candidate a minute or two or whatever to just sort of introduce yourself, tell us about your background, your family, your history, your education, whatever you want to talk about that you think is relevant. So I'm going to turn the screen over to you now and let you do that.
Well, thank you. My name is Olu Brown. I'm running for governor of Georgia. I am not a career politician. I am a small business owner. I am a faith leader who built a United Methodist congregation in Georgia that became the largest in the state of Georgia and one of the fastest growing in the country. And so I've connected in every part of Georgia. I've had an impact in every part of Georgia. And I'm running for governor, not as a career politician, but as an everyday Georgian who gets things done. I'm a builder, I'm an architect, I'm a visionary leader, and I believe we need a governor who doesn't make promises and then breaks them. We need a governor who can make a promise and keep the promise. But most importantly, I am focused on all of Georgia, to the mountains in the north, to metro, to middle, to south, and coastal Georgia. I need your support and looking forward to this primary on May 19th. Olu Brown for governor.
Thank you. Thank you for that introduction. Thank you for being here. Now you mentioned a little bit about why you're running for governor. Is there a little more, is there a specific reason, specific issues,
Yeah.
sorts of things that you want to focus on as governor that kind of draw you into this race? What
So
are
there,
they?
there are some specific areas that I'm focused on. One is healthcare affordability and accessibility. We know in our rural and our small towns, healthcare isn't always accessible, and that is an issue. You go 1 hour outside of Metro Atlanta, and a car accident can be a health crisis, or there aren't the proper specialties that are needed. And it's very hard for someone to have a family member in Metro Atlanta for a specialty care, and they work 12 hours a day, and you've got to go through 2 hours of traffic. We can't visit that family member, although they're getting the care that we need. So I'm focused on providing quality health care throughout our state. We're focused on increasing and expanding Medicaid throughout our state. And we're also focused on education. I've got a lifetime teaching certificate for grades 1 through 8. My mother was my fourth grade school teacher. And I know our public school systems in a lot of our rural counties in Georgia are a part of the heartbeat of the community. The principal, the assistant principal, the teachers, the students, the parents. I grew up playing Friday night football experience, so I understand, and I want to make sure that those heartbeat experiences of public education are ones of quality, where the students are getting the very best education and our educators are the very best paid, which is why we're proposing starting teacher pay in Georgia at 50,000 plus, and for our veteran teachers who have been teaching 5 years or more, eliminating state income tax, giving them an immediate $3,500 to $4,000 raise. So those are some of the key issues that we're focused on, and people are really responding to them.
Thank you. I'm a retired teacher. I appreciate anything you can do to help teachers. Like I said, I'm retired now, but and I'm enjoying retirement. But
Yeah,
it would be a good thing, I think, I think we need to be more competitive
very much so.
with teacher pay. It's not that teacher pay is it's awful, but it could be better. We've let it slip. We used to be higher than we are now, and we've kind of let it slip over the last 20 years. So I
Yes.
do appreciate those offers and those ideas on how to improve that. Okay, so we're coming out of a long time here. What have we had, like 24 years of Republican governors or something like that. So,
Yeah.
and Governor Kemp's coming to his end of his term. Now, of course, being in a different party, there's plenty of things we can disagree with Governor Kemp about. Uh, I always like to ask this question just to give you a little bit of a how you think kind of a thing. Uh, what would be something that you think he's done pretty well that you would maintain, and what would be something that you think, oh, we got to change this like immediately because he's just dead
Yeah.
wrong?
Well,
What can you do?
he's done a great job of helping Georgia be one of the best places to do business. And we see
Okay.
companies that are American based that are now stationed here in Georgia. And we're also seeing international companies that are now based here in Georgia. And they're not only in Metro, they're spread throughout our state. And I think that is a good thing and a wise way of governing. And so we appreciate that 8 year experience that Governor Kemp has helped usher in Georgia. So we'll continue that effort of having businesses have their homes here in Georgia, but not only focused on Metro, but going into our smaller and our rural counties. Because as I travel the state, I go through a lot of our smaller towns that have been disrupted economically because there are no jobs. And so we've got to make sure we spread the wealth throughout Georgia. But the thing that I would push back for Governor Kemp is I would fight for a living wage mandate here in the state of Georgia. We have far too long paid people at a minimum wage level. And if we're going to be the best place to do business, we also have to be the best place to work. I think it's a moral mandate that we push in Georgia over these next few years to set a standard across the nation as a living wage paying state.
Good, thank you. Yeah, I think that's a common thing I've heard is that the business side's great, but the worker side is sometimes horrible. And we still got the lowest or one of the lowest minimum wages, state minimum wages in the country. So yeah, there's a lot we can do for the workers of the state. I agree completely.
Yes.
Uh, okay, so let's talk a little bit about. Is there any other issue that you haven't mentioned yet that you want to talk about? I always like to give you a chance
So
to add
we also want to focus on housing affordability and housing access. And this is true throughout the state of Georgia. We know that home ownership is an important part of wealth building, but there are so many young people and older adults who don't have access to that American dream. And I believe as governor, we can do something about it. And here's what we will do. We'll develop a comprehensive housing accessibility development plan that looks whole to part for our state. It gives emphasis to North Georgia, gives emphasis to South and Middle Georgia, and creatively we work together to increase our housing stock, bring pricing down for affordability for first-time home buyers, give incentives to healthcare workers, give incentives to educators, give incentives to first responders, and that helps the economic development of the entire community. So it's not just about brick and mortar. It's about being proud of your community. It's about owning homes in your community. That impacts the retail, that impacts the recreation, that impacts our schools, that impacts public safety. Why? That's why we call it a community. So that is high on our dashboard around housing access and housing affordability. We're going to make sure we do it. And I know under my administration, we can execute on this promise.
Thank you. Looking at the politics of it, you were in a crowded primary field.
Yeah.
There's, I think, seven, if I'm counting right, seven candidates. Okay,
One of
in that
six on
prime.
the Dems. Uh-huh. One of six.
Oh, that's right. There's only six. Okay, that's true. So you're right. So either way, that's a crowded field. So
It is.
it's hard to do that. It's a big state, lots of counties. You got to do a lot of outreach. As you're doing this, what advantages do you think you bring to the table more so than your primary opponents?
Is this, it's showing up in person and virtually. You know, I'm not a career politician, and I'm amazed at how many career politicians actually pick and choose the people, the places that they want to interact with. As a small
Mhm.
business owner and a faith leader, I've never had that privilege. I've never wanted that privilege. I'll go to the
Right.
high school football game. I'll go to the volleyball game. I'll go to a graduation experience. I'll go to a jail, a prison, a hospital bed, even a funeral home and be with families. And that's the hallmark of my whole career as a former faith leader, starting one of the largest congregations in the state of Georgia. And now as a small business owner, helping develop leaders throughout the United States of America. I treat everyone as if they're important because they are important and I will show up. So that's the first thing that gives me an advantage is showing up. Secondly, we know that we have a number of voters between 18 and 40 who are sitting out and they're not inspired, they're not informed, and they're not being challenged to get in this game. I believe out of all six of us who are running on the Dem side, I've got the best opportunity to speak to 18 to 40-year-old voters and get them out for this primary, not only for the governor's race, but for everyone running, because we want people to vote, but we also want people to be informed of all of the candidates. And then, thirdly, what gives me the advantage is building coalitions. And that's what I've done my entire career. I've worked with diverse groups of people. I work with folks who totally disagree with everything that I agree with. And we've been able to come to common agreement to get things done. So for me, that's the advantage. It's going to the people because at the end of the day, the polls don't vote for us. The money doesn't vote for us. The people vote for us. And I believe the people will be with me on May 19th for the primary.
Okay. Well, thank you. Now, let's say you do win the primary and
Yes.
you're going to be at the top of the ticket with
Yes.
Senator Ossoff. What do you, this is something that Democrats have struggled with in this state, are the combined campaigns, the statewide campaigns. What do you want to see differently about this statewide campaign this year than we may not have seen in the past?
Well, first, I would be honored to be on the ticket with Senator Ossoff. And secondly, as you said, we've had some challenges because we've run parallel campaigns. But you got to
Mhm.
remember, my whole career has been about building differing opinions into one common thread and one common vision. I would be one of the best folks that Ossoff could run this race with because immediately we would come together and discover how we can make this work as a unified front, look at the map of the state, look at all of the resources, and work together to make sure on May 19th, but of course, beyond May 19th, as you're asking,
Right,
for the general
right.
election in November, from the top of the ballot to the bottom of that ballot, we are making sure Democrats are getting elected in record ways to make history. And we can do it if we work together. And my whole career has been about working together.
Okay, well, thank you. And I think it's a good year for that because we have more candidates running, I think, this year
This is a
than
great time to
than
be
we've
in it.
had in I don't know we've had a long time. Let me just put it that way. We've got state house, state senate candidates all over the place, including up here.
Yes,
Uh, every state house district in CD 14 is got a Democrat in it. That's never happened before. So this is a good year, I think, for us to get our coalition, all of our people together because we have more people than ever running this
I
year.
agree. I agree.
So yeah, we
And to inspire
definitely
new
need.
voters as well. First time
Yeah.
voters and new voters, but you got to have candidates who can inspire folks. We can't just say, hey, vote because it's our civic duty. Folks understand that intellectually, but we have to motivate their hearts. We've got to give them a reason to come out and vote. And I believe my candidacy does that for a lot of our voting base that has been disengaged.
Okay, thank you. The next question I have is a little hypothetical. It's based on a reality that most governors, like if you get elected the first time, chances are you're going to get reelected. I mean,
Yeah,
that's just the way it kind of plays out in Georgia history if you look. So let's say you get elected this term, your second term will be in 2030, you'll get elected there. So let's say you win both of those, but we still have a Republican assembly
yeah.
in place, which we could. That could be a possibility. What can you do? What will you do as governor to stop any other attempt or to work with the Republicans to not gerrymander the state again and again and again, as we've seen? What can you do as governor to prevent that, or what would you do?
Well, the first thing is I would let all of our Republican colleagues know that I am elected to represent all of Georgia, including them
Mhm.
and their districts. And so the first hand will be a hand to work together to see how we can make Georgia better for everyone. Whenever I negotiate, I go into rooms never expecting 100%. A victory for me is leaving with 20 or 30% agreement. And we will quickly, both Democrats and Republicans in Georgia under my administration, get to that 20 to 30% of agreement. And we'll run like crazy towards that 20 to 30% because those are going to be things around education. Those are going to be things around healthcare. Those are going to be things around housing. Those are going to be things around jobs. And if the people of Georgia see us working for them and not against them, all of us can succeed. I'm not a career politician. And so, what people need to know, I'm not going to come in with the previous enemies that a lot of these politicians have, or a lot of the guardrails and a lot of the barriers. I'm coming in with a fresh thought, a fresh approach, and I want to work with everyone. The second part of working with, if it is the case of a majority of Republicans in the in under the Gold Dome, would be to beat them in their districts. Here's what I tell people when I'm on the campaign trail. You won't have to come to Atlanta to see me. I will come to you. I'll come to the mountains in the north, to Metro, and also to Middle and South and coastal Georgia. And after a while, their own constituents will say, hey, something's going on here, Representative. I'm seeing the governor more than I'm seeing you. And guess what? He actually listens to me. That's how you build coalition. That's how you build support. You got to let people know you care. You've got to show up consistently. And ultimately, when it comes down to the decisions that you make, they need to see that you really listen and you're voting for things that help them have a better life and lifestyle. But finally, we know that there is no perfect world, there's no perfect negotiation. One of the ultimate powers of the governor is the veto pen. And I will exercise that whenever laws come across my desk that I believe disenfranchise or harm the people of Georgia. That is my mandate as governor. It is my moral mandate as a human being. And I want all of Georgia to know that as a Democrat, wherever you land, Republican, Independent, Democrat, I will represent you fairly and always give everyone a fighting chance.
Thank you. Okay, well, we've talked about a lot of stuff here, and is there any other thing that we haven't talked about? I always like to give a chance, especially
Yeah.
with governors. Governor, you have so many things you can talk about, so
Well,
many issues. Is there any other one that you think that hey, I need to mention this before we begin to summarize here?
I want to go back to healthcare in our smaller towns,
Okay.
rural communities. We're going to launch what we call the Rural Health Enterprise Zone, where we give tax incentives for rural healthcare areas that one helps to bolster up the healthcare providers that are in the rural communities, but secondly, give resources to help attract more doctors and nurses and healthcare practitioners. I was in
Mhm.
one rural county, and the person who ran the local clinic said, Olu, we need more dentists in our area,
Right.
or we need more OBGYNs. We know, in particular in Georgia, African American women are disproportionately impacted in maternal health care, and that impacts families, that impacts communities. And if we say we love women and we say we love children, we have to do everything we can to protect our mothers as they are carrying our greatest value as a people and a nation, and those are our children. So we're going to make sure rural health care is funded, and we're going to make sure all of the practitioners that are needed in those communities are provided for. Secondly, let's go back to education. We know, as the governor has said, this is the best place to do business, but we also need to make sure we are raising our kids to compete, not on a national level, but an international level, because that impacts their wealth, that impacts affordability, and gives them an opportunity to be the very best, not only Georgians, but citizens possible. So we're proposing the 12 plus 2 program. This means that any kid in Georgia graduating from high school would have had the opportunity to have a certificate in one of two areas, in IT or in the trades, so that when they graduate, their opportunities are endless and they can choose whatever they want to do, but they will be well prepared and have an opportunity to engage the world and make as many resources, meaning dollars and benefits, as they can for themselves and their families. So, those are some of the things that we want to keep in front of the people. But I'll say this finally, and I'll say it again when we summarize. I am an everyday Georgian. As a small business owner, in January, because I buy my health insurance for our family on the exchange, our monthly premium is now more than our monthly mortgage. It is catastrophic. Over 200,000 Georgians fell off or dropped off the insurance exchange. And I asked the person who provides insurance, I said, what happened to those folks? He says, they're just gone. They don't have healthcare insurance. And it is far cheaper to keep you healthier than it is to take care of you when you're sick. Here's what I want people of Georgia to know throughout our state. I know what the cost of a loaf of bread is. I know what the cost of a gallon of milk is. I know what a pound of ground meat costs. And here's what I want you to know. We have to stop electing Georgians who have everything, thinking they're going to represent people who often don't have much of anything. They just don't understand.
Okay, thank you. Again, you've covered quite a few of the education plan. I know we definitely need more, uh, I guess you could say generational kind of jobs in Georgia, and I think something like that would definitely help us move in that direction. So sounds good to me. And our rural health, of course, you're absolutely right. Dentists, doctors, nurses,
Yes.
they're in short supply in many places, including up here where I live. Where y'all, I mean, if we have to usually go to Tennessee, we have a metro area close by, fortunately, but still, there's a lot of places in Georgia that don't have that at all. So that's definitely something of need. So here's the part where we do kind of summarize, and what I like to do is give the candidate a minute or two, or however long you need to do, to basically give us your stump speech, why we should elect Olu Brown to be our next governor. So I'm going to let you do that, and we'll close out with that.
Well, my name is Olu Brown. I'm running for governor of Georgia. You should elect me because I'm an everyday Georgian. I understand the cost of health care. I understand what it is to be a part of a working family. I understand what it is to raise children and also have aging parents. I understand what it is to have the anxiety that so many Georgians feel because of the chaos that's happening in Washington. As your next governor, not only will I fight for you, I will also fight with you. I am not a career politician. I don't speak the legislative jargon that we see under the gold dome. I'm a builder. I talk about facts and blueprints, and we get things done. And as your next governor, I promise you, every single day, I will know who I work for, and that is the people of Georgia. I need your support. I need your vote on May 19th for the primary. Early voting starts April 27th. Go to my website, oluforga.com. oluforga.com. My name is Olu Brown, and I want to be your next governor.
Okay, Olu, thank you so much for your
Thank you,
time
Tom.
today. Great listening to you. Got some great ideas, and I'm looking forward to seeing you around the state here in the next few months. And good luck to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.